Good evening. This is the Elliott wave update for the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ 100 for Tuesday, March the 26th, 2024. Both the S&P and the NASDAQ continue to work through what I'm counting as a small internal fourth wave within minute third waves. So starting here with the S&P, and I'm looking at the 4-hour chart just to show how we continue to form this minor fifth wave up, which is actually just coming in not the cleanest and the most beautiful five-wave structure, but it is holding two five waves and without a triangle pattern coming in just yet. We may see a triangle once we're up and we finish the wave three and then wave four, and maybe the minute fifth wave might triangulate straight up to a top, which would be very, very appropriate, in my view, for the move that we're in and the size of the move that would be completing. So right now, I am continuing to look at the internal structure here. So I'm going to drop it down to the 1-hour chart and then go even further. So in here, we can see within wave three, we have 1 and 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of wave three. And then we're in wave four. And yesterday I'd laid it out as a WXYX and then a WXY. So right now it's kind of a double ABC right now. And then what I thought could have been maybe 1, 2, and then we launch. That launch kind of got off to a good start, but then it just stopped and it started to be taken back down again. So this ended up being an ABC up to that point. So let me just open that up. So right in here, it's an A, B, and a C, and that ends up being an additional X wave and the Z wave then forming. So without further ado, without leaving that, I've moved the 4 over to here just in case of today's drop produced that low that's going to let this all be marked and we start to rally. The rally off of the low into the close was pretty impressive, I have to say. And so what I'm looking at here is the possibility, but I can't see it. So I'm basically going to say that's the X and that we get, it's kind of bizarre, but maybe 1, 2, and then 1, 2, 3. And so this is a little 4, and we get another drop down. And so I'm still going to say, like 52.60 down to 52.55. This would be the next level, but I really don't want to see it too much below 52.60, to be honest with you. So if we kind of get up and get back down there, I'm likely if we drop would allow a little bit of overlap because it's a small enough degree. I know I'm fudging here. But the fact is the market just kind of comes down and does what it does and then turns and goes exactly what it should be doing. So in other words, it comes down, finishes as 4 and just launches in the fifth wave up, minuet wave 5 up to finish minute wave 3. So I continue to use these additional levels. And again, 53.43 being 618. That would be, again, if this completed wave 4, where that minuet wave 5 could come in. And we're already looking up here and exactly if we're going to go the 100% marker, which is equality, most common, we're almost at 5,400. So again, we're continuing to look at these much higher levels. And again, most people are wondering, like, well, how's that going to happen? And we have a shortened week. And and to be honest with you, that today's late turn in both, cryptos, so in Bitcoin and in a lot of the other commodities, we saw gold just kind of slip back below 2,200. It had been up very strongly during the day, and then suddenly it dropped back down to unchanged and now slightly higher. The NASDAQ held on to higher levels most of the day, then now is down 40, etc. So we're seeing that across the board. In fact, the Dow was up for most of the day. The Russell was up for most of the day. So all the markets gave up all of those gains and are finishing lower, with the treasuries do still continue to perk up just a very slight little bit. So nothing new on any of those fronts. And so I believe that even our moving averages let me take this back out to the hourly chart and let's see what they look like. I don't think any major damage is being done. So again, what we have is the 13 coming back below the 20 and getting below the 50. 50 is flat. And what did it was that final shove. The final shove that we got into the closing bell. And that just kind of dropped some of these moving averages on the hourly chart. So I don't think too much damage is being done that could not be resolved. But let me just say, on the hourly chart, if we get a strong enough break below this hourly 200, it could produce stronger selling than what I would expect from this move, let me say. The fact that it's breaking the 200, and if it continues and it picks up some speed, then it is, once again, I'm going to have to toss a lot and see what actually is the market doing, what is the market telling us. And as I alluded to yesterday, the alternates remain in a manner of that it's done. If I kind of open it up this way, that it's done. And I'm not sure how exactly I would count it, but it would start to press on that these levels, that's it, it's done. I am not going there. In other words, I am not leaning more towards an alternate versus just letting this resolve and letting it happen. And then once the market wants to give me confirmation one way or the other, then it can be put into place more cleanly. So I have to still, I need to see some stronger breaks below, well, 5,200 to be honest with you, and then start breaking below 5165. So the 4-hour 200 comes in right there at 4167, 4168. And if that got broken, then it's like, okay, it's all done. Because it's just, what happens is it comes in too deep, and I'd really have to take a look at what all of this really is representing. And how detailed do I want to get on those internals. So in any case, right now, still on track. I don't know, I say that with a little bit of hesitation, still on track to finish up a fourth wave, climb up in a fifth, and as that fifth wave develops, it should move pretty rapidly, actually, pretty much like what it did. That's why I thought, wow, look at what this did right at that bell. Bing, jumped right off of it and actually climbed up. That low on the bell was 52.63, and right now we're trading at 52.72. So we're up almost $10 off of that low. And for the NASDAQ, for the S&P, that's pretty good. So again, still in line. Let's see what takes place. Now, NASDAQ, the beast. The beast lives. Now, the beast is actually putting in a cleaner. So once again, let me go out to my 4 hours so we can take a look at that slightly bigger picture. I can get the whole move in here, right? Until we got the B wave and a 1, 2, 3, 4. We're inside that minor fifth wave. Let's open it up. And here we do have a triangle pattern. But it's getting very weird. But I'm going to let this thing play out because I'll tell you why. It is a bunch of threes. 3 and 3 and 3 and 3 and 3 and 3 and 3 all over the place. 3 waves. C waves are ending up being 5, but there's so many 3s in here. And it's staying within the boundary. So it's just so bizarre to me. It's a finishing move. It has an upward bias. It's not breaking that lower boundary, but here we are. And I think the same, that's the 4 hour. Let me drop it down to the hourly. And again, we start to come down. Let me just open this up. So actually, I want the 15-minute chart. I'm going to go straight down to the 15-minute chart and open it up because I want to take a look at this. What we have is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, A, B. And then 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3, 4, 5. So possibly we got a rally, a drop, a rally, and a drop. And so 18,395 really starts to come into play as a point to reckon with. Now, what we don't want is if we're to drop below, here we go, I'm going to tell you, 18,380. I think it start dropping below there. It's like, okay, here it almost in the NASDAQ, not that any of them are going to be easy, but it starts to become a little bit easier looking at the NASDAQ here to pull this 3 over to here and then putting the 5 here and then calling it a day. I know it didn't get to the top, and that's what we would look for, but it did produce a new high above that. And so that's an alternate. It's an alternate. If this thing really starts to decay and just start giving it up and they break below 18,175, they start breaking below this trend line and pick up some speed along the way, as if everybody's bailing, right? That's like, sorry, party's over, we're going down. Now, what else could that actually mean? I mean, I've been looking for a little bit larger. Remember, we've been talking about that the cycles actually came in. It's only Tuesday, so the cycles came in yesterday, basically saying that a little bit of a caution, yellow caution flag out there that a correction was imminent. And it could be a little bit larger. And I'm thinking, okay, but I can't have it get too large because then it breaks the pattern that I'm currently in. But where could that correction come in? If this is all done, if this primary B wave is done. So what I'm talking about, that the minute fifth wave is done, the minor fifth wave is done, the intermediate C wave is done, and the primary B wave is done. That's a big tall order from right here, that it finishes all of those things, and I'd have to do some rearranging, but that would be on a very strong break. Then it's forcing the issue. And if I had to put the 3 and the 4 and the 5, it's not the prettiest, but it would have to be the case. So while I'm sticking with how I'm counting it, so for tomorrow, looking for a little bit additional lower, we can get that in Globex. And then Globex could finish it for us and then start higher. So as we get in tomorrow morning, we're already moving higher. Please let's not forget that it is a holiday shortened week for U.S. traders. So for the U.S. markets, they will not be open on Friday. Economic data, particularly the PCE, is going to be reported on Friday morning. This is like a dynamic that I've not seen. So I'm finding it extremely interesting. I would imagine that there's going to be people on desks across all of the bigger players and the institutions and the banks. I can't imagine if he says, oh yeah, sure, just take the day off. Happy Easter. I don't know. And my gut tells me no. But Globex will be open. The New York Stock Exchange will not open at 9:30. And this data would come out an hour prior at 8:30 a.m. Eastern. So and Jerome Powell is on tap to go out and explain it to everybody once it's all out. Very interesting setup. So much can happen, folks. We're just going to continue to track it, see if we can't just get one more high into this little sucker and get this, at least this third done. If not, then it might be the fifth on an alternate. So again, I'd like to get this done and then if it's going to fail from up here. That's my wish list, right? So we'll see. Now, moving average wise, we're okay. The 13's just now going to start to come down across the 20. 20 still got plenty of space for the 50, but the 200, the 50 starting to go flat after, getting dumped on this afternoon. So the 50's been touched on the 4-hour chart, bounced up off of it, which is healthy. So we're going to kind of hang out there. We're going to see. Let me just drop it. Let's take a look at it on the 1-hour chart. Our 1 hours, they're not bad. You know, they are starting to break down. We got the 13, the 20. One of them's already crossed the 50 right there. They both did. Actually, the 20's kind of kissing it. The 13's gotten down below it. Now, a break here of the 200, a strong break, right? This was like tip and run back up. It's going to could produce a stronger reaction via pulling in more sellers. We shall see. We shall see. So support 18,395, and I've taken off what's below because, as I've been talking about, I really don't want it to come below this low. And that low would be 18,380. Okay, so that for me kind of is the do not break zone. If it starts to break, I could put the 3 here, the 4 here, and the 5 here, and pull that 3 down to here, and we're in that little bit larger 4. In which case, yep, it could break right there. But then I'm kind of looking for it to come down and hold this trend line. So we'll see. So the alternate here is I've already showed you what it could be, but that would be it breaks below our trend lines and it really starts heading lower. Okay. So I'm going to leave it right there. And have a great trading day tomorrow. Let's look and see what we got coming in terms of numbers. On Wednesday, nothing. The only thing we got is the Fed Governor Christopher Waller is speaking at 6 p.m. So again, Thursday, big day because it's initial jobless claims, GDP, Chicago Business Barometer, and pending home sales with consumer sentiment topping it off. So, and then Friday, while we're all trying to prepare for our Easter break, we've got the PCE and a whole bunch of other stuff. Have a great evening. Have a good trading day tomorrow. Next update will be on Wednesday, March the 27th.